Righty, guys. How is everybody doing tonight? We got an amazing Sweet 16 that is going to be happening in the NCAA tournament. Just an incredible couple of days. You know, probably one of my favorite sporting days and calendars of the entire year. I'm going to kind of go back and jog my memory on right now all of the games that happened, you know, what I thought about each of them, and then maybe come up with some theories on, you know, why they played out like they did. So it's been a really fun NCAA tournament so far. So, you know, to kind of recap, let's go to Thursday. We had Colorado State jump on Michigan. Everybody got their Michigan jokes in that they shouldn't have been in the tournament. Colorado State, I was really impressed by the offense of Nico Medved and Ali Farokhmanesh, who played at Northern Iowa. They have a really good point guard. You know, Shea Roddy was trying to shoot the ball a little bit. But Colorado State plays tough. They make shots. They're a good three-point shooting team. And their defense, you know, was pretty engaged. So they had good guards. It's just Michigan just played phenomenal. You know, Caleb Houston made big plays. Mahmoud Diakite. Diakite was a stud. And that's why. And then Hunter Dickinson. So Michigan, I was so impressed, and I guess it's easy to say in hindsight because then they went on to, you know, win another game. But I was very impressed that they were able to come back. Providence just looked like, you know, South Dakota State just didn't have the guys, the athletes to match the Providence Friars, and Providence was able, you know, to win a close game. Then you look kind of at the window. Memphis took care of Boise State. Again, Memphis just, you know, again, the athletes of the American and the ACC. The ACC was great. The American all weekend was phenomenal. The Big 12, of course. So these are all teams that have big-time athletes who guard, who defend, who play defense. And that's who wins in the tournament is guards, you know, that can play defense and that you can make plays with, and a creator at point guard and great coaching. But it's really about defense and energy and hustle. So Houston had all of that. That's why Houston is moving on. You know, Illinois had, some of those guys. You know, to beat a team like that, you got to be so fundamentally sound. You know, you got to be great in the half court like Villanova. You got to slow the game down. You got to be able to rebound, because teams that are very athletic, it's very hard to meet teams that are athletic that can also really shoot the basketball. A lot of times you get a defensive-led team that's a little offensively challenged, because you can't have a perfect basketball team. I mean, when you marriage athleticism, great defense with obvious shooting, then you're going to be dealing with, you know, an NBA. You're going to be dealing with a championship level team. You know, Arizona has those components, and tonight Ben Mathurin made the shot of all shots in this tournament so far. He hit that 3-pointer that sent it to an overtime period. So there's been a couple of really big shots. Michigan, Brooks with the runner against Tennessee was a huge shot. Trevor Keels today and Jeremy Roach hit some absolute daggers. So we haven't had the buzzer beater. I would say that the most exciting play of the tournament, if TCU went on the win, it would have been that Jalen Terry play that just happened at the end of regulation. The guy with a wide open lane into the rim, and he can't lay the ball up quick enough before the time expires. But yeah, Memphis won. And then it's weird because Richmond was so awful against Providence, but against Iowa, they were great. They were rebounding it. They have size. Against Providence, they just couldn't shoot it. They got spooked early, and Providence played their best game of the entire year. They shot the cover off of the ball. So put it this way, you weren't going to beat Providence if they shoot the cover off of the basketball. You're not going to beat the Providence Friars. So, yeah, Richmond with a huge win. Creighton, and St. Peter's. So the thing about St. Peter's, why they were able to win, is because they guard. And it's tough inside because how many real post players that are awesome? Maybe it's Zach Edey. Baycott is really good inside. But a lot of times, like, and I love that there's big players in college basketball, but a lot of times, like, guards aren't that great at passing them the ball. And look at the teams that have the big guys. Auburn goes down. Kentucky has a big guy. So the SEC guys, Fulkerson, whatever. The SEC really struggled. Auburn has the big. If we're talking about big guys in the front court, at least Edey and Travion Williams were able to advance. Purdue was able to advance. Purdue also has Jaden Ivey. They have really good guards, and Travion Williams can kind of play a little bit of defense. But you look at the SEC, and the SEC had Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler, who's a really, really good sophomore as center there. They have the best front court in the country, and they weren't able to win. You look at Kofi Coburn, who's a front court center. He wasn't able to win either, and neither was Oscar Schieble. So a lot of the centers in this tournament are not really doing great. Drew Timme and Chet are able to move on. Drew Timme was phenomenal against Memphis. What a great battle, Jalen Duran. Memphis, again, their athleticism really bothered Gonzaga. And that's how you beat great teams, is you make it a really physical kind of rock fight of a game, and then you're able to beat, like, really, teams that shoot it better. And look at TCU tonight, made it really physical. It's not like TCU's an incredible shooting team, but they made it super physical. The heart of TCU was on full display. Jamie Dixon, really good coach. And that's why you look at Pittsburgh, and they're really missing a competitive program, and Jamie Dixon is in the Big 12. The Big 12 has Chris Beard. It has Mark Adams. The defense never rests. Texas Tech tonight, what a gritty, outstanding win after really getting pushed. You look at Gonzaga, Duke, everybody in the West region really got pushed, with the exception, actually, of Arkansas. Arkansas has played against Vermont. They were a little bit better. They didn't play that well against New Mexico, but they really defended. But now they're going to have to play Gonzaga, and Note's going to have to drop like 35 for them to have a chance. But Gonzaga and Arizona, it seemed like those two games, like those guys, like that Ben Mathurin shot will be like revisited like the Jordan Poole shot. A lot of times you have a buzzer beater or a crazy scare early, and you're able to overcome that and go on a run. Texas Tech did that as well. So you look at the whole West region, Gonzaga, Texas Tech, and then Duke, Michigan State. Michigan State today was able to really play great basketball. They were outstanding. Duke doesn't scare me because Duke really doesn't defend all that well. You can get a lot of easy shots at the rim, even against Mark Williams. Duke, like, interior-wise, like with Keels and Banchero, like, they'll let you can get by Duke. You can get good shots. That's how Virginia Tech was able to beat Duke. But you look at UCLA, convincing, North Carolina, but really the St. Peter's, here's the thing. You have a lot of teams in this field that have a lot of transfers. So throughout college basketball, like you look at a Texas Tech and even a Texas in the first round, a lot of teams, like even Miami probably has transfers too, like they're 8th seed in the tournament, 9th seed in the tournament. But a lot of times you're infusing transfers. So during the regular season, you're still trying to work things out. And then in the non-con, you might get slaughtered because you're incorporating all these transfers with the COVID year. With the COVID year, you might not have gotten time to practice. So you look at a team like North Carolina in the ACC, and the ACC gets absolutely dusted because of the non-con. But really, the non-con in November and December, like these teams are totally different in December, in January. And that's why it'd be interesting in college basketball, like if there could be more like bracket busters kind of tournaments like the Missouri Valley used to do, where you would be able to play out of conference games like in January instead of always having them pre Christmas. So the Big Ten, again, like you look at the guards and you look at Iowa's guards, Jordan Bohannon, some of those guys. I know Murray. So Murray's kind of a big guy too. He didn't really advance because can Iowa really guard? Like even Duke, can their guards, can they play defense? Kentucky's guards didn't play as good a defense as St. Peter's. St. Peter's has unbelievable defensive guards. And the big guys, I guess, with the offensive fouls of backing down, and since it's only worth 2 points, and if you can hit threes, it's the great equalizer. But I'd say that maybe the quality of basketball around the country, or maybe because the good teams either have all young guys, because after 1 year, if you're any good, you're going to the league. Maybe the good teams in this tournament are flawed because they have all young guys or they have all transfers that have never played under this level of pressure, that have only been hearing the coach's voice for 1 year. That's why at end of games, we didn't see any buzzer beaters really. Maybe the refs too. The replays haven't been good. The replays are annoying. Like who the ball went out of bounds on. You need to figure that out in a quicker manner. That's an easy fix. It should take you a minute to figure it out. A minute and a half at most. It shouldn't take 5 minutes, because then what are the points of timeouts except for when you need to inbound the ball? But overall, this tournament, again, you have Houston. The athletic teams I've been very impressed with. The Big 12, TCU tonight was just unbelievable. That's what's great about college basketball, is that you have some guy, the refs really let you play, and you can be really physical, and you can win in so many varieties of ways. And Notre Dame, they aren't as physical as Texas Tech, but they really slowed it down with a great point guard who sprays out the shooters, and they were able to do it. You got to have a good point guard. You look at R.J. Davis. You look at Notre Dame's point guards, really impressive. Miami has 5 guys who can handle. I like having a smaller lineup of guys that can really handle the ball. And Texas today gave Purdue a run, but Purdue, they're a team that's woken up with defense in the tournament. They turned it on. So some teams turn it on in the tournament. But really the key to St. Peter's is their defensive guard play. Like you look at Ryan Boatwright, if you have guards that are great at defense, you're going to have a great chance to win in this tournament. If you have unbelievable defensive guards, and then if you have a guard who handles, and then it's end of shot clock. Can a guy make a play, create his own shot at the end of the shot clock? Can you offensive rebound? It's why Arkansas is a very dangerous team. You have Note, and you have great defensive guards, and you have a guy in Note that can always create at the end of a shot clock. So with Gonzaga, they can actually really slow it down so it's not a track meet. Because Memphis, listen, it turned into a track meet. You're going to get Nemhard. You're going to get guys banging threes on Gonzaga. You don't want to run with Gonzaga. Houston playing against Arizona. Can Houston try to beat up Arizona again? And then Arizona's either going to have to play like a good Michigan team who they'd love to play, or a Villanova team. Villanova is a grittier, better defensive team that's really sound. If Arizona now has to play Houston that's super athletic, or they have to play and Villanova, I mean, that road, they're probably not going to have the energy at the end, because Villanova's had a good run. They were up big against Ohio State. They got pushed a little bit today. They were able to overcome it. We haven't had the buzzer beaters, but we've had a lot of anarchy in the and I would say the best window, it might have been tonight. You had Texas, Purdue, Texas Tech, Notre Dame was a great game. Michigan State, Duke lived up to the hype. Michigan State acquitted themselves so well. Yesterday, the game of the day, Baylor and North Carolina. North Carolina wins it. It would have been a crazy, colossal collapse if North Carolina ended up losing that game. But really the athleticism that I'm seeing in this tournament, I mean, there's a lot of talent. The transfer market, you're going to be able to field a really good team. It's a very, very competitive tournament. And defenses and athleticism can take away like brilliant shooters and brilliant offense. And you look at the Big Ten, like Illinois is a sound offensive team. Iowa is sound offensively. But boy, oh boy, they just had a rough weekend. the SEC had a really rough weekend. So the Big Ten and the SEC, but really the ACC, the Big 12, and then the American Conference. I mean, the American only gets 2 teams in Memphis and TCU, and TCU drills Seton Hall. And Jamie Dixon's really doing a great job, and this was a memorable game for TCU. This can be a program builder. Even though you didn't win this game, the emotions of TCU basketball, they've never felt that. They've never been that close to winning, to getting to the Sweet 16, and you almost do it against the number 2 overall seed, a number 1 seed in Arizona, a team that could go on to win the championship. It's got to give you confidence. The way they did it was with unbelievable defense, great guard play, unbelievable heart. Legendary performance by like Lumpkin Jr. or Lampkin, I think is his name. Incredible performance. The guy's maybe like 280, 6'8", and he was bullying people and flexing on people, and I loved it. I love that part of the game. And I loved how you're able in college basketball, you're able to taunt, you're able to pump up the crowd, the energy of that game in Arizona, or the Arizona TCU game, the energy, even the angst that you feel in a March Madness, a single elimination game, but with the 1-and-1s, the every possession kind of mattering. It's great. And, you saw, like, with these upper seeds, I mean, Kentucky got beat pretty bad by St. Peter's. I know it went to overtime, but St. Peter's pretty much controlled it. Michigan was a great win, but Auburn completely got housed. Wisconsin was not very good. So, man, you just see a lot of young guys, a lot of freshmen and sophomores are in big positions of power to play really well in this tournament. And they're young. And then you got experienced guys that transfer, that go to like teams that, are cold at the beginning of like a Miami team probably has a lot of transfers. Like an Iowa State, for example, really good defensive team in the Big 12. So the Big 12 had a big weekend here. So fun NCAA tournament. The real shockers are St. Peter's. You never thought they'd be able to score. But if you're a really good defensive team, like even Houston probably doesn't shoot it statistically that well. But again, if you're defense, you can run, you're athletic. I mean, that's really what can win. TCU tonight, athletic. The Big 12 conference is just filled with great, you got to watch how physical conferences are, and you got to bet on the more physical team. Not the finesse doesn't win you in March. Finesse doesn't. I watch Doug McDermott teams, and the finesse teams are really fun to watch because they'll shoot it better a lot. Sometimes it's less ugly basketball. Sometimes it's prettier. You're shooting it better. You're finishing at the rim. Your percentages are better. The passes are crisper. But then when you have athletic teams that make it into a rock fight and can really guard you, the finesse teams get uncomfortable, and then those great shooters turn into erratic shooters, and the athletic, physical teams will get you out of your game. And that's what has happened in this tournament so far. So it's been a great tournament.